do 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 do.
We're running.
Oh, cool. Hello and welcome to another episode of Serpent Temple. Thank you for bearing with us as we took a quick break as we were doing lots of cool busy things. This week we're going to be reviewing the new-ish Hellripper album and talking about our various exploits along the way. So Floyd, how you doing?
Yeah, very well, thanks. It's been a bit of a break, isn't it?
Yeah, little summer holiday for us.
Yeah, so went Canada, which was fun.
Yeah, I bet.
That was good. So tempted to take so many edgy black metal photos when I was standing outside mountaintops and stuff, but I resisted the urge. So that was good fun. You guys had a gig recently?
We did a gig, yeah.
Oh.
We also went to Berlin as well.
Oh, first tattoo?
First tattoo, guys. First tattoo, yes.
And I've been to a few gigs as well. So I went to a hardcore one-dayer yesterday night, so which was amazing. Slowly coming around to the idea of hardcore dancing. That I was saying before. Saying that, don't expect to see me busting out any spin kicks anytime soon, because my range of motion won't allow that. But it was a great night though, and big up to the Bloodstoke Style posse, who are just absolutely killing it in the southeast scene at the moment. So that was good fun. And yeah, it's good to get back though, isn't it? It's been just absolutely fucking ram-packed, our schedules. So it's good to have some time to kind of catch up again.
Yeah, it's true. We've been extremely overwhelmed by the... Yeah, there has not been a free day for a long time, but it's a good thing. The gig we played was really, really fun. We played Masters of the Riff at Oslo Hackney, so that was a really nice venue to play for the first time. I've got to shout out London Doom Collective. They were so cool about organising the whole thing.
It was so lovely.
Really, really well organised. And we got like little laminated passes.
Oh,
it said artist on them, because we're artists. That was
Did you
really
keep
cool.
them?
Yes, we did.
Nice.
Oh yeah, we got a bottle of Jägermeister, which actually is... I thought you had it for some reason.
I thought you was grabbing it.
Yeah, me too. I was like, wait, don't drink it. Yeah, we put it in our bookcase, but it's got our logo on it. And it's a bottle
sick.
of Jägermeister. And it's like all purple. It looks so cool. And yeah, we got to like see some amazing bands. We got to see Pantheist. It was so esoteric. Yeah, that was like really cool. And like, I'm really weird about food on gig days. I can't eat heavy meals, but I took loads of cucumbers with me to stay hydrated. But I only eat the mini cucumbers because I'm Iranian. It's like a rule. But yeah, I was eating mini cucumbers watching Pantheist and Esoteric, and it was one of the best gig experiences ever. And those bands are like so good as well. But I was managing to stay hydrated whilst being really sad, which is like a very important balance when you're listening to Funeral Doom, in my opinion.
I do love cucumbers, or nature's glizzy, as I like to call them. No, it's Esoteric are great. Did he have his little headset on?
Did.
So sick.
He did.
Yeah,
it was so cool, man.
Yeah. We're friends on Facebook now.
Oh, nice.
Me and Greg, yeah. We go way back.
Shem and Greg. Facebook Memories 2023.
Speaking of Facebook, fucking shout out to Thomas Korn.
Thomas motherfucking Korn, yeah.
Yeah.
Sick.
Reached out to us and showed his appreciation for our like Aether Flame episode last year.
Lovely guy.
Just hopefully he'll come to London at some point. It'd be cool to catch up and hang with him in person.
Wholesome Serpent Temple moments.
And he's called it a day, isn't he? He's no longer drumming anymore. He's retired from drumming, so...
He said he completed drumming.
Completed it, mate.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, in fairness, he completed it with the like Aether Flame album, in my opinion. That was a fucking monstrous performance.
What year did that come out? Was it 90?
2000.
Okay, totally got that wrong.
Yeah, so pretty much 2000, so at the turn of the millennium. So it was an offshoot of their previous project, Appall and Spawn, and which also, I mean, the Appall and Spawn album was amazing as well, but like the like Aether Flame album was it's just so revered in death metal circles.
It's really funny because that was the first thing you ever recommended me.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like me.
Yeah, you're like, you should check out this album, Elven Efforts by like Aether Flame.
Like, do you like music? Yes, check out.
Yeah, it was really funny. I remember listening to it on the train home from work, being like, "Oh yeah, this is interesting, cool." Yeah, it was great. Yeah, then we went to Berlin specifically to get a tattoo because I'm a bit weird like that, and I'm very specific about my taste in artists. So I got a tribal tattoo in Berlin, and it was good. I got it on my shin, which is an unusual starting point, apparently.
Yeah, it's looking sick. It's looking good.
Well, I've got massively hairy legs, and it's scabbing.
No one would have known if you didn't say it.
Well, I haven't shaved for a week because you're not supposed to, and it's like you can see like. I think there's some like scientific process where like the skin cells are like the white blood cells are absorbing the ink and then like spitting out the scabbing, and then that's how the tattoo gets permanent. Some shit like that.
You would fit in really well with one of the current wrestling stables at the moment.
I would love that.
It's called the Bloodline. It's like related
Ooh.
to like the Rock's family. It's like Roman Reigns and all the but they've all got tribal tattoos. So,
Hell yeah, I'm going to apply, and I will not get my head kicked in immediately.
So this tattoo, was it like a traditional needle, or wasn't like the long? Because you know how you've seen
Like the hand poke, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, she used 3 different tattoo guns. And it was drawn freehand, but the middle was printed, and then she just printed that out on a stencil and stuck that in the middle. But it took like a good hour and a half just to draw this and make it symmetrical, and like she used a measuring tape to like get everything right. And we had like loads of different ideas. So she tried having like another stripe. We tried doing it where it was like a little bit more cut, but we decided, because I have like little legs and short shins, we'd lengthen the leg by making it longer. And you know, basically the brief was like, I love calligraphy, and it's based on like Persian calligraphy basically, and her style is very much that. And there's not really anyone else doing it, and it's like a faux pas to go to a tattoo artist and be like, can you copy this other person? So I had to just go there and do it with her. And yeah, we're going to do more stuff for sure. We're going to work together more. I'm going to get the other shin done to match. We just didn't have time.
Yeah.
This was like 6 solid hours. She used like a little tattoo gun to do the outline, which was like really okay. It was just like dotted around. It's all dot work, so it's not like solid black. It's actually dot work. And then the smaller ones are made with like slightly. It was a different gun, so there was like I think there was like maybe more space between the time the needle hit the skin, so it's like more dotty and a little bit fadier. But it's gonna fade a little bit, and it'll be more like textured. Yeah. When that happens, but it was really fun. Like there were times where it felt like I was being massaged. Yeah. Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, how so many people have got entirely different perspectives on like the pain threshold or the pain level a tattoo actually is. Because it's like some people have said, oh yeah, it's like the worst pain imaginable, and other people have said, no, I love it. It's like really relaxing. I
really enjoyed the process. Like it's kind of like, to me, it was definitely a coming of age thing. Like in a lot of cultures, like getting a tattoo means you're an adult, and I guess for me it was like, A, having the money to do it, B, going somewhere and doing it was like definitely like it was like a special psychological thing for me, even though it's not really that big a deal. The only bit that hurt was the knee ditch, which was like here, there's like, it goes right into the behind your knee, and that bit hurt. That was the only bit that really like had me kind of grimacing. Yeah. It's funny because I was so dead sure what I wanted as a tattoo. I'm a tattoo virgin, so never had one. But like, I was absolutely hell-bent on the idea of getting like a biomechanical sleeve. Yeah. And so I just had this realization that like every bald guy that's into metal gets a biomechanical sleeve at some point. So I'm just thinking like, nah, I will not fall into that cliche. Do it. So you'd rock
if
it
you
though.
You should do it.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah, but it's the contrarian in me now. I just now that I've seen loads of people have it, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, but it would look sicker on you than most people.
Yeah, you've got like the right shape to go biomech.
The Bloodline, they've all got the same fucking tattoo and they look sick.
That's true, actually.
Yeah, and you could have it like go onto one of your pecs as well, like the Rock. That would look sick. If it
I
was
do
like
actually like the way how that looks. I like how it bleeds into that part. It is good.
Yeah, it's really cool look. And it doesn't hurt as much on the arms as
and it's
well.
funny, I've always said as well, and this would be a good segue. Well, not now because I've explained it's going to be a segue, so that ruins it. But part of my sleeve, I always wanted to have the old school enslaved logo worked into there somewhere.
Nice.
And obviously, they've just been announced for Damnation. So they're playing their...
that would have been a really good segue.
I know, I should fucking just... cut out the bit where I talked about there being a segue. but it's... so they've been announced to playing their debut album, which I'm not going to try and pronounce because I'm not going to butcher it like I do every other... that's the one.
That was mild racism for which we apologise to all of Scandinavia.
But they'll be playing that album in full, and that's Electric Wizard just been announced as well. So
yes.
Damnation is looking fucking stacked, and that's on top of Akakoko playing Koronzen on the Friday. They've also announced Dead Guy, so like legendary like mathcore / metalcore like proto like legends. So they'll be playing their album Fixation on the Coworker in full, which is I've not thought about or even listened to that album in years and years. I remember seeing it on forums back in the days, people talking about how it's like a real influence on bands like Botch and Converge.
Yeah,
but like, yeah.
See, I didn't realize Dead Guy existed because I thought it was Ed Guy. like, oh, there's just one band with that sounding name, Ed Guy.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, who's Dead Guy?
Ed Guy is a band.
Yeah, Ed Guy's a band.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
a power
Tobias
metal.
Sammet's band.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
From also of Avantasia. Yeah,
I was like-
that would be a weird booking for Damnation. Just fucking.
Because I was like, wait, that's a really weird name for an Ed Guy album.
Look at this album cover.
Oh,
Like a
Shem,
little-
Ed Guy have got the worst album covers. There's one. Go into their Metallum page.
Okay, hold on.
There's. You've got to see this. You've got to see this.
I've got to put
Which
my
album
beard
is
down.
it?
Hold on.
There's one album in particular. If you get up their discography, I'll be able to tell you which one it was. Is it Space something? I think around about 2013, it was released.
Wow, they got a lot. I knew they'd have a lot.
Age of the Joker, Space Police.
Yes, please.
I love it. How is that bad?
That is just.
That's amazing. Oh my god.
Is he spraying cum on his face? What's going on?
It's like if he dropped a tab of acids, if he spiked the guy that does the Megadeth album covers, that's kind of what it looks like.
His glasses look like bad filler. It looks
Yeah.
like he's got horrific cheekbones. Poor guy.
Yeah, so that's Ed Guy for you.
Wow.
It's got a cover of Rock Me Amadeus.
Yeah.
Well, they're cop sympathizers. so-
They're great. They're just like fucking just unabashed cheesy power metal.
Yeah.
So, and Tobias is a G. I like his vocals.
Yeah, that's great. Well, yeah, that was what I thought Damnation announced for a good 10 seconds.
That's understandable, to be fair.
yeah.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good
Yeah.
album cover.
Yeah, they're great.
They went a bit more serious for that one. And then who else is playing? Just a plethora of bands. You got Ahab, Rotten Sound, and now Nathrak were announced. So it's just that's going to be a fucking absolutely monumental.
It's a belter.
And I think it seems like Gav and crew are gearing towards it being more of a 2-day event now.
Yeah, I hope so.
Because the first night was always like the pre-headline pre-come day. The Friday was always just like kind of like just very much just a warm-up show.
Totes.
But like the last few years, they've kind of really been pushing the whole Night of Salvation day, and I think it's looking like far more stacked than it has in previous years.
Yeah,
And it's
Amin Ra, did you mention them?
Amin Ra, yeah. So that's their UK exclusive show for the year.
I've got to say, regarding Akakoka, I don't know if you guys have seen, but Earache are doing like kind of a crowdfunder to get Coronzon pressed on vinyl.
Oh.
However, the band will not see any of that money.
Oh, okay.
So the band have like very discreetly posted about this because obviously they can't name Earache because Earache are famed for kind of not being particularly nice to bands, especially ones who've been on their roster, saying don't give money to this because it would be amazing to have Coronzon on vinyl, but yeah, like I don't think it's right. Basically, Earache own the rights to their old music, so they can't press it themselves.
I remember the whole drama of Napalm Death and just other bands as well. Yeah, is it still Digby Pearson that's running
It's
Earache?
still Digby.
Oh, damn, still going.
To my knowledge, anyway.
Go, I don't know anyone who's on Earache now. It's been a while since I've paid attention to the Earache roster.
Isn't it all like butt rock now?
They basically
kind of is.
make a lot of money off the old bands that used to be on them. But yeah, I just don't sign to Earache if you want to have a long and illustrious career, I'd say.
Buck Cherry.
Butt Rock Cherry.
Fuck off!
They've got a band called Fuck It. Fukkit.
Wait, Buck Cherry on Earache?
Buck Cherry.
Butt Cherry.
Butt Cherry.
They should do a butt plug.
Black Star Riders. Buck Cherry.
Dub War, that's Benji from Skindred's other band.
Buzzard.
Bud Bloods.
A Dub War even still a thing?
I don't know.
Oh no, they reformed.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, that's
They
right.
probably signed to Earache when they reformed.
Oh, okay.
They've got SoundCloud rappers by
Misfits.
Massive Wagons.
I love that guy's t-shirt in this picture. His big dick is back in town.
We need to get those.
Wearing that impressed picture
Yeah.
is so funny.
That's amazing.
mad.
Wait, Skindred as well?
Yeah, I guess Benji's tight with them. Well, we're never going to get signed to Earache, so Talon.
Oh, that's what's his name? Portnoy's Sons band, and it's got like the YouTuber that done all the vocal covers doing vocals. They're like,
On Vector.
Oh, Victor. Well, yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh dear.
God, Vector, yeah. Travis Meadows.
Who's that?
No idea, just saw his name.
It's got a good name though.
It's got a nice hat.
Yeah, I love his hat. What a face.
Yeah.
A face that's seen many things.
Uncle Buzzy.
Uncle Buzzy. Is that like a new word for...
Travis Meadows self-released Killing Uncle Buzzy. A raw masterpiece that left listeners stunned. Okay. I mean, I'm not mocking Travis Meadows.
I don't want to mock him, but Buzzy just sounds like Bussy.
Travis Meadows looks cool as shit.
Hey,
Yeah.
Chad energy.
Yeah, man. He definitely he's got energy.
Speaking of like singer-songwriters, I saw it's a good thread on, I think it was started by Metal Injection actually on Twitter, and it was like had like a picture of Squidward from SpongeBob looking like really like aghast, and it was just like, oh, what album leaves you with that kind of like reaction? And it was like people just leaving like the most depressingly sad albums, and it was one of them was that album I think I talked to you guys about. Mount Erie, A Crow Looked to Me. Did I tell you about that?
Yeah, you told me about that. It sounds, I can never listen to that.
It's bleak as fuck. It's basically, the album's about like it's a guy, he's a singer-songwriter, and he used to be in a band with his partner, who's this Canadian artist. She died, and they had a young child when she died, and the album is just him, just like really bluntly just talking about how he feels, and like the first song's about him getting a package, which is a school bag that she ordered before she died for the kid. It's just it's so bleak.
It was recorded mostly using her instruments.
Yeah, it's if you ever really, really want to depress yourself, that's the album to listen to. But anyway, I was just trolling down the list and just seeing all the albums people were leaving, and just making notes for what to listen to when I was feeling really melancholic. But yeah, speaking of earache and old labels, Peaceville released a new album recently, which is the album we're reviewing today, which is Hellripper's.
You forgot the title.
No, I do it.
You forgot the title.
Withered.
Grim.
No, got Grim, Warlocks, and Withered Hags.
Well, I thought it was Warlocks, Grim, and Withered Hags.
It's Grim, Warlocks,
Shit.
Withered Hags.
See, on my Metal Archives, the title track is Warlocks, Grim, and Withered Hags.
Oh, yeah,
maybe
you're
it's the other way around.
I think you're right. Let me double check. So I have written this down. And it is... No, yeah, you're right.
Oh, well, it is Warlocks, Grim, and Withered Hags by Hellripper, which is James McBain.
It is indeed. This is their second album on Peaceville, and I think for a lot of people, this album would have come out of left field a little bit, because this is, I wouldn't say a big departure in sound, but it's definitely an evolution of sound. Much in the same way, like, I can't help but like draw comparisons to Quarathon and Bathory when I see like the trajectory of this project. Well, one, because it's both kind of like a one-man project kind of thing, because like the previous Hellripper albums like all had like, you know, they've got that same kind of like blackened speed traditional elements, and I feel like this is very much like the jump up in like change up in styles, and just him really diversifying what he's presenting to the table. And it's a fantastic album. It's really fucking good. Like it took you by surprise a bit, didn't it?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I was like, oh, it's a one-man project. I had a very like preconceived notion of what it was going to sound like, and it's completely, shot me out of left field. Yeah,
it's just so fucking good. Like it's like equal parts like black and thrash, you know, like trad, speed. I've been listening to a lot of Iron Maiden recently. I'm just wanted to listen to their entire discography just to see what I was missing after never being a big Iron Maiden fan. So I'm on like album like 16 now, I think, or 14, I think. So I'm nearly done. And there's definitely like some moments on here where, you know, like the dual lead melodies and the twin guitar leads are just absolutely like, you know, like the best parts of Iron Maiden, like worked into this intrinsic and fucking caustic blend of just loads of different styles. But what I like about this album is it takes the fun elements of all those styles.
Yeah, it's not boring at any point.
No, there's not a single moment on this album that isn't fucking fun to listen to.
Yeah.
Like zero filler, zero.
Yeah, no filler, all killer, as they say, which I delivered beautifully.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you on that. It's a really fun album. Like sometimes I listen to an album for this, and it's like it's a bit of a chore, and I have to go back a few times and like make sure I remember what I've heard. But this one, I just like immediately managed to put it on again and just blasted through it. It's really fun, and it's perfect length, 43 minutes, one side of vinyl. Well, one vinyl. And yeah, like what I really enjoyed about this is that like James was definitely going like the Scottish route. He wasn't trying to be all like Scandinavian, even though we're in the Isles, you know.
Yeah.
And I really love like learning about the culture of the person who's making the music, which I really enjoyed. And like I was reading about reading about the lyrics, which I always do when I listen to an album, because that's how I often do listen to an album. And I really like that. You know, there's like there's a whole song that's about Macbeth, which is so sick. Like, which one was it? Fuck, I've already forgotten. I wrote it down. It's really good. There's like loads of low-key Shakespeare references, which I always enjoy when you feel like you've kind of like cracked a little code in the album.
Yeah.
And there's like, I really like the first song as well, the Nuckalevy, which I'm probably not pronouncing properly, but it's about like a horse-like demon from Orcadian folklore.
Yeah.
That it's like it's a horse-human thing. And apparently, according to like a British folklorist called Catherine Briggs, it's the nastiest of all the demons of Scotland's Northern Isles. So its breath was thought to wilt crops and sicken livestock, and it was held responsible for droughts and epidemics. But it was predominantly a sea dweller that would occasionally venture on land, which is amazing. Like, there's a picture of it on Wikipedia, which is where I do all my research, that's like really kind of brutal and sick looking, and it's like scary and nice. So yeah, I mean, there's some weird fairy art that Shem's just pulled up, which is a little bit weird, but...
It's cool, and yeah, I think you're 100% right. It's great to see some representation for folklore that isn't pretty underrepresented in the scene.
Yeah,
like you get a lot of like there's a lot of Irish bands on the scene at the moment that do a lot of like kind of Gaelic or like Celtic folklore. But like like Orcadian folklore, I mean like like the Orkney Islands are so small and like they're so like sparsely populated as well, so it's great to hear something from especially with my parents being from Scotland. I mean like that part of Scotland is so far north that it makes where my parents are from like fucking Cornwall, so but it's that's great. It's just and I think even the subtle inclusion of like the bagpipes on the title track on the third track.
That was so cool,
so fucking good.
I couldn't tell if it was like a guitar effect or if it was like part of the Twinlees creating a new sound. Like, it was really difficult for me to pick out, but I was like, this sounds like bagpipes, and
that's why it was so cool, because like the amount of times you hear bagpipes and like it's normally with like the more cheesier kind of like folky bands, and it always sounds really like kind of so ham-fisted. Yeah, whereas like this was just like, and like we said, it was just like all of a sudden I'm just like, wait a minute, it doesn't sound too much like a guitar. So fuck, they're bagpipes, and it sounded so fucking like natural and like well like meshed with the song that it just totally lended to like the authenticity of the track.
Totally. I feel like also when some of the scales I'm guessing he was playing maybe lent itself to that kind of music. It was like maybe similar to some of the things that you play on a bagpipe. I don't know, not an expert, but I thought that was the case. I felt callbacks. Also, the Macbeth track is the second track, I the Deceiver, which it should have been obvious. Because there's loads of references to like the knife, this is a knife I see before me, and like the three witches, and also bogles, which is fun because like that's in Magic the Gathering, it's like a frog deck.
Oh really?
Yeah,
cool.
It's a cute little frog.
It's I will say Macbeth is probably, in my opinion, one of Shakespeare's best works. So it's one of the ones that I enjoyed the most. We have this thing where like you would have had this as well, right? Where you grow up in like the English school system, and I feel like Shakespeare is so rammed down your throat,
and they do it wrong.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's weird, isn't it? Because like I don't ever remember being taken to see any of them in production. It was just all about reading the screenplays and studying the screenplays.
You can't understand a play if you're just reading it.
Yeah, and it was just like, so how am I supposed to write such? How am I supposed to articulate and dissect a screenplay when I haven't even seen it in the method it was intended to be, like performed in.
I did it at A-level in uni. I love Hamlet. That's my favourite Shakespeare.
Hamlet's good.
Hamlet's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And my second favourite is Titus Andronicus, which is like so violent.
Yeah, no, not read or seen that one.
There's literally like people get dismembered and raped, and like there's so much killing and blood. It's like there's a film with Anthony Hopkins.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's like it's so horrible, but it's a great play. It's like I think they did a production of it a few years ago, but I can't afford to go to the theatre here. Yeah. But when I was at uni, we did go and see it at the Globe. We saw the ones with Faust, and he's like fucking and like Shakespeare is so dirty. There's so many dick jokes. Like Romeo and Juliet is full of like everyone's calling Tybalt gay. Yeah. And like Romeo slowly becomes very feminine. There's really interesting stuff throughout all of Shakespeare's works about everything. It's fascinating, like where he got all this stuff from, and a lot of it is callbacks to like ancient literature as well, obviously Greeks, but then that came from Babylonian, Mesopotamian, and Egyptian, all that stuff. It's great, it's fun, is what I'm trying to say, but they do it very badly here. I did not like the education I got, even at uni, about Shakespeare.
Yeah. I think I've just remembered I did go to see a production of Hamlet in A levels.
Yeah.
But the reason why I didn't remember it is because the opening line when he says "most pernicious woman," his voice cracked on pernicious, and me and my friend Chris just couldn't recover. That was just it for the rest of the 2-hour performance was just us trying not to lose our minds.
Amazing.
Because still haven't matured. Still find voice cracking and
Good voice crack.
people fucking up their words as hilarious as ever.
I don't think that's a sign of immaturity. I think it's a sign of strength.
Thank you.
All the Akakaka fans out there.
No, yeah, back to the Hellripper album. So yeah, there's some real moments on here that really shine. I want to give a bit of a shout out to the last track on the album, which I think was an exercise in epicness. So Mester Stor Worm.
Yeah, I love the word store.
Yeah, Stor.
Store. What does that mean? Like stout.
Why is that? I thought Stor maybe meant shit.
Oh, I don't know, man.
I don't know. No, maybe I'm just thinking of stool.
the shit dragon.
Don't know.
The stool dragon.
Store. No, I don't know. I'll ask my mum.
Maybe Stour. Dower. I don't know. I like when he says kirkyard because I'm like, I know that from Shakespeare that means churchyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool.
But just absolutely, there's some, because the thing is, this is a one-man project, but I have to say, it doesn't sound like a one-man project.
Honestly, doesn't. And they play live, so I'm assuming it's not just him doing everything in one go.
No, and live, yeah, he's got like a few session musicians with him, like live musicians, and they are fucking fantastic live. Can I just say, I've seen them multiple times, and it is just like absolutely rip-roaring. Like I remember when they played Damnation a couple of years back, there was like this older guy in the pit who was maybe late 50s, and he looked so excited, and he was just like, it's like watching Metallica during the Kill 'Em All eras. Like he was
so
just
sweet.
He was just so obviously he never heard them before and didn't know what to expect because that's the thing. What I like about them, they do a really good job. That even in the previous albums, which are a lot more traditional than this album, like I have to say, but they're still really really good. And one thing they've always done a really good job of is presenting a sound that is quite traditional in the scene. And it's been around for a while, but it still sounds really contemporary and fresh. And and the actual structure of the songs and the musicianship, wow, easy for me to say, like me, is just so impressive and stellar that it's just the music's just really fucking good.
Yeah.
And I feel like this album has just really catapulted it to a new level because I feel like there's so much more dynamics on this album and varieties and sounds and a bit more experimentation. And like what I was saying about the last track, Mester Stor Worm, it's got so many cool bits. Like it starts off really atmospheric with a kind of a layered doomy riff. There's some great use of synth in this album as well. It's just at times it sounds really kind of bombastic, almost kind of symphonic, traditional second wave symphonic black metal, but it's just done really tastefully and all interwoven so well into the other components of the album. Some of the thrashier parts in this album, I think it's a title track. So Warlocks, Grim, and Withered Hags, 5 minutes, 22 seconds in, it's just got an absolutely filthy thrash riff. Just so fucking just groovy and it's I can't wait to see some of these tracks perform live because I think it's going to be
blistering. Yeah, I really love the scream at the beginning of the Cursed Carrion Crown. It's very Angel of Death.
Oh yeah. It's proper Tom Araya style, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. I was like, oh, this is good. Sometimes people do it and you're like, oh, you're just trying to be like Sarah, but I was like, it works. Yeah. It's just the whole album is so energetic.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know what he's going to do next. What do you do after this?
Yeah, no, and the thing is, I suppose that's why I keep drawing comparisons to someone like a Quarathon, who's probably one of the more revered, one-man projects artists out there, especially with how influential he's seen in the scene. I feel like that James has probably got the skill to kind of take on whichever style he sees fit in the future, whether he wants to go back to more of a traditional kind of Black and Speed style or continue on with the experimentation. I feel like he's that skilled a musician that whatever he chooses to do will probably end up being, great anyway. Yeah,
I'd love to have him on here and pick his brains.
That'd be great.
Yeah, it'd be very cool if he's watching. Please come on. It was a good album. I think this will make loads of end of year lists.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I'd be very, very surprised to not see this on most critics' end of year lists.
Totally, and they have great merch as well.
Yeah, it's really good merch actually. Yeah.
So it's I love it when a band has really music that's such a high level and also really good curation with the merch and because I think a lot of musicians, they'll make an amazing album but they don't promote it properly.
Yeah.
Or they won't do some of the other stuff when it comes to being in a band, which is like having really good, well-made merch. Because there's no point in having loads of shirts if they're all kind of like, I'm not going to name a name, but we saw a band play. We played with a band, and they had like, they were a really, really big band as well. So it's not like I'm going to throw them under the bus. I'm never going to see this. But they had like 6 or 7 shirts, which was just their logo in different colors, and that was it. That was the shirt.
Yeah.
And like, why would you pay if someone's gonna if someone loves you that much and they're gonna pay £20 for a shirt, it should be a good shirt, you know.
Yeah.
And like, it's just nice to have fun merch that like really represents you. And Hellripper do that really well.
Yeah, their merch is actually really good, and it's like, and you know, I think people that have been part of the scene for a while, then when you go to gigs, like you tend to get quite picky towards merch.
Totally, yeah.
Like especially when you've got so much of it, like you can't really afford to spend. I mean, you just can't really afford to buy much in the first place. But
yeah.
to spend money on something that isn't, you know, like also a design that you also happen to really like.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like I'm guessing you were seeing a lot of the debate around.
The merch cuts from the
yeah.
venues. Yeah, we're going. I can't say anything.
Yeah.
I can't
Fair
say. But yeah, no, yes, that is controversial. And I think it is, you know, merch. The venues are making a lot of money already.
Yeah.
The promoter's already making a lot of money. The band is seeing like very little of that money. So let us sell our merch.
I don't know who it was. It was somebody on Twitter. It was a musician. Turned around and said, "So when a band's going to start to get a percentage of the bar take?"
Yeah, exactly. And in some places they do that.
Really?
I think in Europe.
Damn.
I think you know, sometimes they'll give you a little bit of like the money from the bar, and I think if you do really well, because think of how much they're making. It's like £10 a pint in some venues, or you know, 7 or 8 in London, and everyone who comes to see you buys usually at least 1 beer per average, maybe free. That's like 30 quid per person on the beer alone.
I feel like some compromise has got to be reached here, because like, whereas I do understand that, you know, the venues have had it particularly tough since the pandemic as well.
Yeah.
And they've got, you know, things to cover like overheads and stuff. But at the same time, like, you know, you're running the risk of killing live music dead in its tracks, because like bands are not going to be able to afford to play any of the bigger venues, and then there's going to be some alternatives coming out of it, and then those venues are going to be left in the dust, because you know, that's what happens. That's what happened to when music turned digital. Like people for the longest time stopped buying things like CDs, and you know, and vinyl nearly died before its resurgence, because it's just like, well, you know, it's just like people don't have as much expendable income as these places like to think.
And I think merch as well is one of the most important things a fan can buy from a band, because that's like, they're advertising you as a band. They're going out into the world wearing your shirt being like, this band rocks. And I'm like, they rock so hard, I'm wearing their logo on my body. And like, that is an endorsement from a person that like, and that's a big deal in my opinion. And the thing is, with like a lot of the venues that are doing the merch cuts are the bigger venues, and those venues tend to be owned by people who don't give a fuck about the music business. All they care about is profit. Like in the smaller venues, the ones that like really put on the great underground shows, they don't really ever do that. And I think if they did, people wouldn't play them as much. And like, you know, that is bringing them income. Whereas with like the bigger arenas, the bigger venues, they're all owned by like conglomerations who don't give a fuck about people. You know, if those venues stop, like they can't afford to run those venues anymore, they'll just sell them as property, turn them into flats or whatever, which still benefits them.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I don't know. That's my very depressing take.
But yeah, no, it's like, I think like, you know, you might even see some bands at venues just like have like a QR code set up and say like, this just be a direct link to where's best to buy our merch, and you could purchase it here right now, and then it'll be with you in a few days.
Yeah.
I mean, like online retail's already killing most other retail outlets. So I mean, it's just gonna go that way. I feel like, unless some compromise or someone somewhere meets in the middle with all this.
It's true. I think there are some like really great alternative markets now in London where you can go and you can buy like really specific weird stuff that you wouldn't be able to buy on a high street. But then again, like that's only if you live in a big city.
Do you remember those Metal Militia shops? There used to be one in Camden.
I bought my first metal shirt from there.
Did you really?
I bought my sugar shirt, yeah.
Was it the Oxford Street one, or was it the Camden one?
Camden, of course, yeah.
Yeah, there used to be one at the end of Oxford Street of all places. So like on the way from like work, I'd sometimes go in and just buy a shirt.
Yes. Yeah, no, I loved it in there. It was really expensive. It was like 30 quid for a hoodie.
Yeah.
Yeah, which back then, with inflation.
Yeah, I got like a Nasum shirt there, an Incision one. I got some great like underground shirts from that place.
I got a Meshuggah shirt, the Obzen one, and I got, I think, a hoodie. I think I got a Nightmare Before Christmas shirt from there as well. Yeah, I was like very young, forgive me. Yeah.
Oh, good times.
Very good times. Simpler times.
Yeah, no, but back to Hellripper. Great job. Fantastic album.
10 out of 10.
And don't need to hear that from us because everyone else is already talking about how good it is as well.
We're a bit late. We were
yeah.
going to review it like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then life happened.
Life finds a way.
It does indeed.
What should we review next? Feel free to recommend us some albums and we'll look into it.
Yeah, no, indeed.
Yeah, feel free to email us. Serpent Temple email is in the description. I don't know which one it
nice.
is. But you can literally, you can email us, ask for advice, ask for any relationship advice, band advice, human being advice, or just tell us a story and we'll read it out on the podcast. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so feel free to like and subscribe so we can keep going. And thank you for listening and or watching.
Until next time.
Au revoir.
Nice.